I got diagnosed with a brain aneurysm last March. I feel like the whole world just kind of flashed in front of me, and I felt like the universe was saying to me, are you happy? I always say it's like a breakdown for a breakthrough. I felt like I had to hit this rock bottom of just questioning everything to actually meet myself where I'm at now, not where I was 5 or 10 years ago.
Hey friends, before we get into this episode, I am going to ask for your help. We are on a mission to hit 4,000 subscribers in the next 30 days. I've got a stat here. 97% of you aren't actually subscribed. That's crazy. So for every follow, like, share, subscribe, that all really helps us to continue to get the guests that you want. So can you please join me in becoming one of the 4K crew? That would help me and I would love it so much. I always say the same thing every time. I'm so excited.
I know. There's a few things I always say. It's like, hey guys, and I'm so excited. I always say those three things. I'm like, God, different vocabulary.
All right, well, with that in mind, let's jump into this episode. Ashley, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
This is going to be awesome.
Yes.
I've known you for a very long time. I was thinking about it when I was sort of getting prepared for this.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know how many moons ago that was, but you were running wellness events in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And you invited me to speak. And look, it's been probably at least 10 years
At
more.
least. We've just always kind of been in each other's like energy, and even with fertility or hormones or things that I've needed help for, you've always been that go-to person for me. And it's just been nice to stay connected throughout our different seasons.
Thank you for being here and all the things that you do. For people that maybe don't know of you, which I don't know who that is, but and your work and everything you put out there into the world, you kind of started with fitness way back in the day, right?
Sure did. Yeah.
And tell me about the evolution of that.
So much has changed.
Right? How you wrap that up in a,
Even when you say fitness, like I've recently let go of my fitness career, which is crazy, but it did start in the health and fitness industry.
And it catapulted you to where you are.
It did.
now.
Like every season and chapter has served me and had its purpose, and I've loved all of it. Like I don't regret any of it. But it started in the health and fitness industry. I always loved sport, always loved being active. Even growing up, I had a very abusive stepfather, and sport was just my savior. It was my outlet. Dancing, netball, running, walking, just anything that get my body moving. I think it just moved that energy. So it's always been my go-to. And then I always loved helping people. If you were to ask my mum, what did Ashley want to be when she grew up? All I would say is I want to help people.
Oh.
So when I met my partner at 19, he was a personal trainer, and I started just shadowing him and jumping in the boot camps and helping him. And I just loved it. I said, God, this is a cool job. I get to help women and make them not feel so alone in their journey and support them emotionally and physically as well to build confidence. And it's kind of sporty. So I was like, this is the ultimate for me. And, that's when the Ashy Bines Bikini Body Challenge was born, and did so well in Burleigh here on the Gold Coast. And within a year, we spread out to 75 locations across Australia. And that was hugely successful for like 7 years. Then we opened a gym, and then we started doing online apps, and they were all really successful and all really fun and all really cool. And then it's not there anymore.
And the decision to sort of keep on, I guess it's not even, it's just iterations, right? It's seasons.
It is.
Right? But then the season now to kind of turn around and go, okay, that's we're moving away from that. Was that hard?
It was so hard, but it felt so right. So how I came to this decision was I had been feeling like the last couple of years, my passion for fitness was there, but I felt like there was just an itch to do something different and change, or I don't know, I felt like something was missing. But I got diagnosed with a brain aneurysm last March, and when they told me I had one, I spent 48 hours in hospital when they wanted to do more MRIs and figure out what they're going to do with it. And in that 48 hours, I feel like the whole world just kind of flashed in front of me, and I felt like the universe was saying to me, are you happy? How are you showing up? What are you doing? Do you see yourself doing this in 5 years' time? It's a crossroad. And I just wanted to not hustle anymore. But this whole last 15 years, I've just spent hustling and working every waking moment, and I've loved it all. But I just felt like this was an opportunity for me to step back and just get to know who is Ashy outside of being the fitness girl and outside of being the bikini girl. And what else do I want to do with my life? Because I'm 36 now. I was going to say 37, 36 now. And I want to try different things, want to explore different things. And I feel like the bikini fitness girl has evolved. Yes, I still love to be healthy and I love fitness, but it's not all of who I am. I've had 2 children. I've done many businesses. I love marketing. I love talking. I love podcasting. It's like, what else can I do? So in that moment, I just decided I'm done.
a terrible circumstance, but an amazing gift that came out of
So many blessings.
right?
Yeah.
It's so interesting how that often happens.
Mhm.
But there's something that's a mess, that feels like a
It
mess.
shakes you up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then something else comes out of it.
Mhm. I always say it's like a breakdown for a breakthrough. I felt like I had to hit this rock bottom of just questioning everything to actually honor where I am and meet myself where I'm at now, not where I was 5 or 10 years ago. And that's when I realized, like, I don't want to do fitness and talk about food all the time. Yes, I love food, but I'm sick of teaching people the same stuff. You know, I'm past that.
But I mean, congratulations in figuring that out, because it would be safe and easy to stay doing.
Oh my gosh. The money for starters, being recognized for something and known for that, like it is so scary to take a leap and try something new. Like, what if you're not relevant? What if they don't like that part of you? What if financially it doesn't work out?
I feel like that's probably not going to happen because people like you for you.
Yeah.
Not because of fitness. They like you for you. You know, you've built a very successful
personal brand.
Correct. Personal brand, but your TikTok, your Instagram, YouTube, like people aren't following because of the food.
But I had a story that they did. I had a story that they only wanted me to be the fitness girl. But I soon learned quickly that wasn't the truth. But we have these intrusive thoughts. And that's like, it's not that I wasn't scared to change. I was scared and I did it anyway. And you have to take risks. And I'm quite a risky person, like most business owners are.
Yes.
We don't get in the same place.
We like to like sit on the edge.
No, yeah, 100%. I'm a risk taker.
I mean, 100%. I think you don't have to be a risk taker in business, but I really feel like the majority of us are.
100%.
And
Live
we're
on the edge.
all in.
Yeah. And to grow, like you kind of have to take big risks, I believe anyway. But with so many blessings in that whole brain aneurysm. First of all, I'm alive.
Right.
Most people on my father's side have dropped dead from aneurysms. My grand dropped dead from one. My uncle dropped dead from one. My other uncle has one. I don't know my real father, which is his brother, but I'm guessing he might have one too.
Right.
So I'm very lucky they found it. So I'm alive.
And was there symptoms or something? Like what instigated that? Because the person that's listening, I don't know, I think it's nice to just sort of share.
Definitely.
And everyone's different. But I guess if at any point in time you're not feeling well, you need to get it checked out. But what were the symptoms?
Yeah, so I was pretty naive. I was 35, healthy, young, fit. I've never had any health issues. Even with like family members passing away, you think I would have gone to get an MRI or a CT scan, but I thought they won't be me. I'm young and healthy. So nothing to do with health.
And so invested in your health. Like you say, I'm young and healthy, but you're actually invested.
Yeah,
like
it's a high value for sure.
Right.
1 week I trained and I had a bit of a tight neck and I lost my sight when I was driving. So I was driving along. Yeah, I had to pull over and I oh my God.
That's never happened to you before.
Never.
And
then I had to keep driving. So I pulled over and see if it would come back. I could still see, but it was blurry and there was flashes of black. And it was like where I was meeting my girlfriends for breakfast was literally another 100 meters down the road. So I drove and parked and I went to them and said, I literally can't see properly. My girlfriend gave me Voltaren and she was like, I think it's a migraine. Take this, we'll get it away. It didn't really. So she took me back to her house and I laid in the dark and covered my head for like 2 hours and it did go away. I thought, it must have just been my tight neck.
Right.
Anyways, fast forward 2 days later, the same thing happens. It's like, must be from my training. My neck must be tight. And Levi, who you know is my business partner, we were about to go on a meeting and he said, you need to get a scan. And I was like, don't be silly. It's just a migraine. Like, it'll go away. I've just been stressed lately. You know, lots been going on, da-da-da. And he's like, I don't think so. Didn't listen. Then that Sunday morning, we're out for breakfast with my husband, his mum and dad, my kids. And I'm looking at my father-in-law and I said to him, it's happening again. I can't see you. And both eyes. So it was left eye, then it was right eye. And then both eyes went blurry and started like having blackouts. So I laid there and I was just seeing if it would go away and it wouldn't. So Steve took me straight to a doctor and the doctor said, look, I just have an intuition. You go to the hospital and get a scan. This is Sunday morning. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to be with my kids. You're being dramatic. Like, surely you can just have a look at my eyes, see what's going on. He said, no, go get a scan. So I went to the emergency, waited a couple of hours, got a scan and they said, look, your eyes are all good, but we've incidentally found a brain aneurysm. And my whole body just felt like so weak and called my mum and she just was not okay. My husband's also had a brain aneurysm at 19. He had one called, I think it's called an AMV, and it's basically like 10 little aneurysms that combine together.
Oh my
size
goodness.
of a golf ball. He had it from age 9 to 19 and not one surgeon in Australia would operate on him because it was so dangerous. If he got bumped, it would have ruptured and bled. Anything happened. And they said if they go in there, it's highly likely that he'll die or go completely blind. So at age 19, a surgeon decided he'll operate on him and he's fine, but he's got this massive scar all down here.
Wow.
But in a nutshell, it's like, whoa, there's so many aneurysms around.
Right.
So yeah, that's how it came about. But they said my loss of sight had nothing to do with my aneurysm. But how cool is it? I lost my sight. My body was telling me something's not right. If I ignored that, maybe I wouldn't be here.
Right.
Maybe it would have ruptured. So thank you, body. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad I know to listen to those messages and symptoms. So if anything ever comes up, it's just like your body is constantly telling you what's going on. It's like, the MSN Messenger,
Yeah.
or like getting a text message, like alert, alert, alert. It's like if your skin breaks out or you've got a rash or you're smelling really badly or you've got lots of discharge, like something's going on. Investigate it. Like be a private
We
investigator.
are, especially as women, very good at ignoring.
Are we?
Men are actually even better.
Yeah, I agree.
Actually.
I agree.
But we're very good. I think it's not that we don't know it's there, but we're very much like, oh, just see what happens.
Yes.
Whereas men actually do ignore it. But I think women are, the other challenge is that we often do put ourselves last, even though the message is to not do it, we still do it.
Yeah. Kids are more important. Life gets busy. I'll do it next week.
Kids are definitely very important, but then they also need their mum.
And if you're not here, if I ignored that and my brain aneurysm ruptured, I wouldn't be here. It's 1 in 20 people are walking around with aneurysm. Did you know that?
No.
Crazy. 1 in 20. And if I was to rupture here now, by the time I get to the hospital, I'm gone.
Crazy.
It's too late.
Can you tell me they remove?
Yeah. So they don't remove this one. It's a wide neck aneurysm. So they actually put a stent in there, which helps the blood flow. And over time, the aneurysm decreases.
Yeah.
While they were in there, they found another one on my left side.
How did that feel?
Oh my gosh, I was devastated. And I remember saying to the surgeon, why did you not just fix that in there? Why do I have to go through because you have to stay in ICU? It's pretty rough. And he said, we can't. It has to be a whole separate surgery. So then I had to wait a couple of months for this one to heal. And then I've just had this one done like a month ago.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
What a roller coaster though.
What a roller coaster.
And many gifts that came out of it.
So many. I learned so much about where I was, what makes me happy, what's important. I already was passionate about health, but even more so now.
I bet.
Yeah.
And what would you say to the person that's listening going, well, hang on a minute, you're so healthy. And if this happens to you, like, what do I, like, why bother type of thing?
Yeah, well, my one's probably hereditary.
Right.
So it's nothing to do with my health. They said the worst thing for anything is stress, which I'm sure you can agree.
Right.
So if you ever think something's wrong, I think stress is the first thing that we all need to look at. I don't know anyone that shouldn't be focusing on their stress. 100%. It is the cause of so many diseases.
Well, it speeds everything up.
That's exactly right.
Right? So there's absolutely no benefit to long-term low-grade stress.
Yeah. And your body will start to break down. I truly believe it will start to break down and not function well.
And it gives you those signs like being able to see.
Not great. I've never had that since.
Well, that's amazing. And so now has that meant that you've, besides work sort of shifting, priorities and maybe even values slightly shift? Or not, it's not being a value shift, it's you become more clear on what they are.
100%. And I think there's been so many cool things I've learned, but one of my favorite things that I've learned is up until the brain diagnosis, I was always trying to prove to everyone that I was worthy, prove to everyone that I could be successful, prove to everyone that I was smart, everyone and myself, because I had this story that I was dumb and I'd never be successful and no one ever loved me. And even friends and family won't love me unless I can provide and do this and do that. And up until that point, I was like, you've done more than you could have ever dreamt of.
More than most.
So proud of everything that I've done. So now that I don't need to prove anything to anyone or myself, I actually want to do.
Well, now you get to live.
Yeah, I get to live and do things that really light me up, not in a place of fear or in a place of trying to prove. And it's been really cool to explore. So I've really moved into the podcasting space. I just love having conversations like this.
Yeah.
And teaching from my hard times and helping other women not feel alone and empowering them to live their biggest, boldest life and to check in all the time with how they're feeling, what's coming up for them.
I think it's so impactful to be able to share stories.
Isn't it? It's the best way to teach. It's the best way to learn.
And I think also if you look at, what's often in podcasts or on platforms, the ones that are storytelling are the ones that people connect with the most.
Aren't they? I remember I went to a Tony Robbins course years ago, like probably 15 years ago, to be honest. And a lot of the content was amazing, but it was when people stood up and shared their story and he spent hours breaking down their story and why they are the way they are and how to help them through it. That's when I was just like, oh my God.
Right?
Yeah. So even with life coaches, if I hire a life coach, I want someone that's going to be vulnerable and share their story too. So I don't feel so alone in that.
Yeah.
And know that they understand me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then as a mother, Has it shifted things for you as well with the kids? I guess you're saying, yes, more purpose, but I think maybe it really puts that into perspective.
Oh, yeah.
That, I don't want to use the work-life balance because that's cliche,
Mm.
but priorities, I guess, when it comes to family, how's that
Definitely.
shifted?
Or even having that conversation with my husband of if something happens in the surgery, like tell the kids how much I love them. Like tell them how much mummy tried. And even having that thought of like, oh my gosh, I could not be here with them really shifted things for me. So that was also made the decision to close down my fitness apps and my clothing label down pretty easy and such. It was hard, but when you know it's the
Well, you
right thing
probably
to
wouldn't
do.
have done it straight away. It was a
No.
definite like, okay, this is happening now.
It
This
was
is big enough.
It was fast because it was like, how long do I keep doing this just to keep people in jobs or just to keep my audience happy?
And that's hard too,
It's
employment and
really
team.
hard, of course.
There's so many things behind the scenes, I think, that a lot of people don't consider.
Am I just going to keep people pleasing at the cost of my own health and my own mental health? But yeah, it's freed up a lot more time for my kids, which is awesome. And not even time, it's like my energy. Just having a more regulated nervous system. I'm just a better mum because I'm not on all the time, stressing about work and checking with the team and like worrying about the goals and logistics. And
So you've gone from a team of what to a team of what?
well, baseline was a team of about 8.
Right.
And we still have Hideaway, but
Yes.
my husband runs that mainly. I get to do the fun creative
good.
marketing things.
The parts that you're good at.
Yeah, and with the podcast, I've just got my producers and my co-hosts, and it's just fun and it's creative and it's freeing and it makes impact and it still makes an income, but it just feels so much better.
And some people would say, oh, that's easy for us to say in a position, that what looks like whatever it is.
Yeah,
But I guess what you're saying is you'd rather take this over the income.
100%. And I also don't have a limiting belief that I can't make money elsewhere. And I'm prepared to put in, like say with our podcast, we don't make big money off that. We make a little bit, but I'm prepared to put in the work to make it grow.
Right. Which
And
can become something that you actually
100%.
get.
But over the last 15 years, I haven't just done one thing. I've had my toes dipped in lots of things so that I am in a position now. And I've worked since I was 13.
Yeah, you've worked hard at
I'm a
life.
little
You just-
hustler. My mum said like from get-go, I was just so driven. As soon as I could get my first job at 13, I was peeling potatoes for $5 an hour. And I've
Amazing.
never stopped working.
I relate to that. My mum jokes that my very first job, wasn't a job, is I used to sell clippings out of the Dolly magazine to the boys at school.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Of the girls in lingerie.
That is hustling. Wow, I love that.
Like, she's like, do you remember? And I'm like, I actually forgot.
What, for
but
like $1 or something?
No, more.
Oh
I
my
think more.
gosh.
I think multiple dollars.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
'cause they were too. So how silly. You could go in and buy a magazine for $5, say, probably
Literally.
then. But they wanted to give me $5 to cut out the clipping so that they can put it on their bedroom.
That is so funny. Wow.
Yes,
Hustle.
yes. Quite hilarious. The things that we do. The things that we
Yes.
do. So, I mean, there's still difficult things that you're doing. Showing up on social media can be challenging.
Yes.
It's just like, I'm like, what would you prefer, toddler tantrums or trolls? I think toddler tantrums.
Oh my
but-
gosh. I would take 20 toddler tantrums over trolls any day.
And
Any
I
day.
sometimes think, oh, you know what? It's different. There's less of that. And then you get that person that just won't let up. And you're like, wow, we're still fighting this battle. And it's, what really breaks my heart is it's probably another female trying to rip another female.
Most of the time. Most of the time.
Wild.
It's crazy. Like I've been in the online world for over 15 years now. And honestly, most of the time I'm pretty good, but there's definitely been times where it has literally nearly destroyed me. Like I remember when Taji, my little boy, he was 1 and I literally justified ending my own life because I was getting slammed for everything that I did. And I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like there was no light at the end of the tunnel. And I thought, if I leave, then it won't only stop for me so that I can like be peaceful, but then they'll learn that their words have power. Maybe they won't do it to someone else.
Gosh.
So actually I'll be doing a service to the world.
It was that bad?
It was that bad. It was days where I just couldn't
Sorry.
get out of bed, people following me home, death threats. There was a rotating roster of 5 women that had a hate page and they would all watch my Snapchats and they'd have a roster to keep an eye on everything and screenshot things so they can go into the forum and say, everyone jump over to the Instagram. Let's
My
all
God.
comment this. Had to turn my comments off for 6 months. It was just,
That is just awful. And this is the part that I'm like, there's this whole
Women.
like women.
mums. They have daughters. It's wild to me. And it's not that bad these days, but now
It's not as bad, right? I feel
Well-
like it's not. But maybe you're stronger. Maybe you're more resilient. Maybe you've got better tools.
But I'd be lying if I said it didn't affect me. Like even the last couple of months, I've had 2 brain surgeries. I've closed down my businesses. I've had a public friendship breakdown. that everyone's talking about. One of my best friends has lost her little boy. They've got so much to say, and they're on these gossip pages, like just picking apart everything. And I'm just like, wow, I don't understand. I even have a troll that lives behind me. She takes photos of my children in our backyard.
Oh my God.
It's wild. So it doesn't affect me most of the time, and I definitely am quite resilient.
Imagine having that much time on your hands for starters.
Oh, right.
That's what I think about. I'm thinking about, what are these people actually doing? Are they just lying in bed with this is very terrible for me to say, but do they have a packet of chips and they're just like,
That's how you picture them, right?
that's how I picture it.
With a cat beside them.
Correct.
Because the cat's always their profile photo. Honestly.
I am so sorry. That is awful.
Yeah,
but I also hope
wild.
that I thank you for talking about it, because I also hope that somebody that might be doing it is listening, going, okay, maybe I need to check myself.
Maybe, or maybe they're narcissists. I'm not too sure.
Well, there's that, and that's always going to happen, right? There's nothing you can do to that
No.
person except for send them love and on their way.
And hurt people, and healed people heal
true.
people. Like I somehow understand why they're doing it, but it's just never okay. And I don't think they realize the impact of their words. Like, can literally make or break someone. It could be the reason they don't get out of bed. It could be the reason they don't have another meal. It could be the reason a mum is so emotionally stretched and so fragile, and your comment just like tips her over the edge. Like, why would you want to be part responsible for someone's mental health like that? I'm the opposite. I want to lift everyone up and make everyone feel amazing and included and a part of something, you know? So I don't really understand it, but then I kind of do.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's scary having daughters though, right? Like, I would hate my daughter to have to go through something like this.
I have Olivia is very much like me, could just be a content creator. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that's I love doing it, is what I should say. I actually, if I just did that, I would be
So funny, creative.
inspired, going, maybe I'll just be a content creator. Not just, that's not the word. Let's take the word just out, because it's a big job to create content. I actually think only certain people can put their brain into that.
Yeah.
I actually can tell you only certain people can put their brain into that. But she has said to me, I don't want to post these things anymore because I don't like it when people laugh at it. And I'm like, we have to get over that at some point, but there's always going to be those people there.
Isn't there? It's like that old saying, you could be the ripest, juiciest peach on the tree, but then someone doesn't like peaches.
I don't know who the people are that don't like peaches, because peaches are freaking delicious.
Freaking delicious,
peaches
right?
for breakfast. But true, it's so true. That saying actually was very pivotal for me back in the day, when that was really something that you step into this, we choose this, right? We choose what we are doing, and how nice to be at a point where you can go, you know what, actually that's not serving me, let's move here. But we do choose it at the end of the day, and it does come with it. But I think it's important to have these conversations, because there are people that are doing it that should know better.
It's an interesting world. I love the online world for sharing, connecting, inspiring, learning. Like, you know, even our dynamic and relationship, what I've learned from you, just from you posting videos, is incredible, but there's definitely a darker side to it, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's just awful, actually, when you start to think, I can't believe someone's behind you.
Yeah, I know. We moved in and straight away we found out, and I was like, oh, great.
Maybe you just need to send them cheesecake under the back fence or something.
Honestly. Send us some clean treats.
Clean cheesecake, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't even eat sweet food, so I'm the wrong person to ask. I don't like it, but give me cheese. Maybe that's why I'm thinking of cheesecake. So you've kept Hideaway.
Yes.
But you love the content creation.
I love it. That's my main role in Hideaway, is content creation.
Tell me, Hideaway, when it started, was it your mum?
My mum started in her kitchen.
Right.
We grew up on dairy farms, and she was an accountant, and she started making soap and being really creative. And I'm like, who are you?
And I just remember also just how your community got behind that and just loved it.
Loved it. Yeah, I would literally post something and it would sell out within minutes, and she couldn't keep up. And then she got her first warehouse, and she grew it to a point. But my mum is the opposite of me. She is so introverted. She's literally moved like so far away in the middle of nowhere because she doesn't want to be around people.
I mean, power to her.
I know. It's
all
all the COVID stuff went down.
Every now and again, but you know,
when all the COVID stuff was happening, she's like, I'm out of here. No one's going to control me.
Good for her. Good for her. My
goodness.
goodness.
She started in the kitchen, and then she got skin cancer and had to go through chemo, and she just said, too much. I'm going to give it up. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. And we were like, you're not closing it down. And that's when we obviously saw the opportunity, and we bought it off her, and yeah, it's been thriving ever since. Obviously, it's had its ups and downs.
And so Steve is managing that.
He's the front man.
Let's talk about what that's like, being in business together.
I love it.
You've been in business together for a long time.
The whole time,
How
the whole
long?
relationship, 17 years.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, at the start, there was definitely moments of navigating who's doing what and stepping on each other's toes. But now it's like, he does his role, I do my role. He's got strengths, and I'm like I honestly, hands on my heart, I don't think I could run a business without him. It's just not for me. But the stuff I do, he's like, oh, I don't want to be on camera. It just works so well together.
It's pretty funny when you every now and again
He
put him
is.
on there though.
He's
He
so
plays
funny.
well. He's like my husband. My husband will play well, but it's not his favourite thing.
No, and he's actually a great teacher as well. Like he's a beautiful man. But yeah, we just work really well together. So
I mean, I
honestly,
think it's fantastic if you can have someone that
cool.
you love and trust in your
Yes.
business. And you can work together.
Mum's back working for us as well. She does all our finances now.
That's so great though. But I mean,
it's cool.
how beautiful to have this, and also you're not ever going to trust anyone more than these
No
people,
way. Yeah, it's really
right?
beautiful.
And also, I'm imagining when things have been rough, it only strengthens things. But at the same time, you can make decisions to go, this is not important right now. And whereas when you're an employee,
I know,
and you've got
right?
stuff going on.
Yeah, even like examples that it's really cool. Say like Steve came home the other day and I could just see his energy was not good. And you heard of Breno Brown saying like 80-20, like you checking where your partner's at.
Yeah.
I could see he was at about a 10. So I was like, you go sit down. I know you've had a hard day. You've still got shit to do. I got the kids, cooked them dinner, did the bath, got everything organized. And then at the end of the night, he was like, oh, thank you so much for picking up the slack. And I was like, that's what we do for each other.
Right.
And it's cool because we're both in tune with what each other's doing. When I go up to the podcast to record and he holds the fort down here, it just works.
Absolutely.
It's really cool.
Yeah. But I think you're very aware, and over time it's evolved. It's not like you
And
just woke up
communication.
today and
No.
what you've got.
No.
Like it's been 17
Yeah,
years.
it's a long time. Makes me feel so old.
Oh my gosh, I know. I mean, I understand. When I say I've been a practitioner for 20 years, that makes me.
Yeah, wow.
I don't even know how that happened. I don't actually know. But my point is, I guess there's also been challenges within all of that.
yeah.
It's hard work. You've got to work
Yeah.
at that. You didn't just have 17 years
No
of
way.
blissful marriage and business
Gosh,
partnership
no.
and parenting. And
No.
you haven't parented 17 years, but you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
There's times where it's
Yeah.
hard.
Parenting, marriage, business, there's been so many moments where we thought it was done
Right.
in all of it. Having our
And if
first
you weren't
child.
sitting here saying that,
Yeah.
we'd be going, okay.
Yeah,
you know
good
what I
on
mean?
you.
Like,
Happy for you.
sure.
You do.
So again, thank you, because it's
Yeah.
important, I think, to talk
Really.
about it. And people don't need to know the ins and outs. They just need to know that we've had challenges.
Everyone has it. If everyone doesn't say they've had it, they're lying. Like I think it's also in relationships. Like if you're not always going to agree on things. You're two different people combining your world. You've grown up different. You have different beliefs, different triggers and traumas that you have to learn to navigate. But the biggest thing for me, I think, was learning how to regulate myself. I was quite a reactor in the relationship. So if I'd get triggered, it was just like, big and fiery. That's been my biggest skill. And he's quite a calm, chill person, but he's had to learn how to like hold all of me. Because as women, we're quite loud and fiery. We've got many different sides. And
Well,
we're emotional.
absolutely. But I also think as women, especially working driven women, and everyone is whatever they want to be.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm saying everyone needs to be working and driven. But if you are, you're probably a bit of a fiery spirit
And got a lot of masculine energy.
and got a lot of
Yeah.
masculine energy. And so
yeah,
finding someone that can actually hold space to that, they're pretty
for
unique.
sure. They are. And that's also hard as a feminine female to balance, right? I definitely was in my masculine energy for so long. I feel like up until my brain diagnosis. Then I was like, holy shit, I'm so out of touch with my feminine energy because I'm just hustle and I'm goals and I'm looking after staff and I'm so structured. So it was so cool after that to make those decisions and to close down the business. I got to actually like flow a bit more. And it made me feel so much more connected to myself. And that just overpoured to our intimate relationship as well. It's been really beautiful.
It's interesting when you speak about that feminine energy, because if you had mentioned that 10 years ago, Ashy, you probably would have been like, well,
Honestly,
wow.
I would have screwed my nose up at you. But what the fuck? Yeah. It's dead set.
Right? But what does that mean for you now? So what does stepping into that involve? I guess, you've probably got different self-care measures or even thoughts. Like, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, feminine energy for me it's a lot more slow and flow, not so structured. It's being more flexible and adaptable to different things. And it's even little things in my day. Like, for example, instead of going to bed in a oversized shirt because it's comfortable, I'll hop in a nightie and I'll take time applying my moisturizing cream. And I light a candle and I put music on in the background when I'm cooking dinner. And it's just little moments that just help me tap into that softer version of myself. Whereas before that, I hop in my baggy shirt and I'm like, okay, dinner's here. And I'm on my phone replying to this email, like, kids, go do this. And it was just like so rushed. And I felt so like icky. And
You weren't in flow.
I was not in flow, and I wasn't showing up as the best version of myself, because that's not me at my core. Like, I'm feminine at my core, but I'd lost her along the way of trying to prove that I could be successful.
It's powerful.
It is. It's really powerful.
And in that same vein, has the way that you've attended to, I hate the word self-care, but what type of things have you changed, even like your training and how you're approaching your days? Like, does that look different? I guess rituals or things that you would do now, what do they look like?
Training's very similar. I feel like since I had Taj, it's swapped from training to look a certain way, just to being so appreciative that I can move. So I still love weight training, Pilates and walking. Movement for me is for my mental health. As I said, from a little girl, I've always moved. It just makes me feel good. And if I don't move, I'm just not the greatest Ashy. A bit more snappy, a bit more impatient, irritated. So movement hasn't really changed, but I rest a lot more now. You couldn't catch me sitting still. Even on weekends, I'd want to be doing things all the time, whereas I actually like to rest now, and it's so important for me. So that's probably the biggest thing that has changed, is just slowing down more and allowing rest with zero guilt. Zero guilt.
Right. Well, I think the other thing too is recovery is very important. Rest and recovery. Yeah. But you can't have recovery without the doing. So I think you've got to be able to figure out, even to get the benefit of exercise is in the recovery.
Isn't it? That's
right?
True.
So, but you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you have to exercise crazy to like trigger recovery like crazy. You can't have, like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But I also think that it's beautiful, because this is the version of you now, and this may be changed in 10 years' time, and you're a bit older.
100%.
And you've got more time, then you might find that it's a bit of it's like
you have new challenges you've got to come across. I'm sure when I go through menopause, it's going to look completely different as well.
I think that we're lucky though, because there's a lot of information about what to do next, whereas our mums didn't have that.
I know. I feel sorry for them not having all the information that we had. It's so much tougher for that generation.
But they didn't. I remember speaking to a neighbour of mine, and she actually used to train at our gym, but she was always 20 years older than all of us, and very wise and very inspirational. Would like show up every day, would always try and just exist outside her comfort zone. But I remember talking to her one day, because she actually lived around the corner, and she said, I had to figure this out. I knew that it wasn't an abyss where you just fell in a hole. I knew that. But there was no one talking about it. There was nobody telling me what to do. There was no guidance. I had to figure it out. Imagine that.
Oh, tough.
Right? And she's like, you are going to have all of this information that I never had. She's like, I was training wrong. I was eating wrong. I was doing it like I was 25. It doesn't work anymore.
No, it doesn't, does it?
No.
Body needs different things. Even from how, I suppose the training, when you say that, how I train now to how I trained when I was 20 is so different. It used to be so much more HIIT training and cardio and just smashing and bashing and doing everything I could to be the leanest and the strongest, and now it's more just for movement and energy. Yeah.
It's good though. It's good to recognize these.
Yeah.
And again, you're in flow.
Meet yourself where you're at right now.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what's next? Because I know you've kind of said more podcasting. Like, is there anything else on the horizon, or is this what we're doing right now? And you're like, I don't know. It's gonna be something, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't plan too much in the future, but I really want to grow the podcast and just interview more amazing guests. And Hideaway's growing hugely at the moment too. And a lot more travel. My kids my oldest is 9 and then my youngest is 2.5. I've always said once kids get to 4, they're much easier to travel with.
Yes, so they really are. But also my advice on that is travel anyway, because they'll get used to it.
Yeah.
And it's only going to be painful a few times.
That's so true.
Right? And then it's a lifetime of ease. My kids are so well because my parents lived interstate, so they had to get used to even short trips. So that was fine, because we also made a commitment when they were really little that they were going to see their grandparents frequently.
Beautiful.
So they were very used to traveling.
Oh, that's so good.
And then we just kept getting longer in the duration of the flight, and they were just kind of what you do. You can't like have a disco on a plane. You actually kind of have to sit there, guys.
How do you tell a 2-year-old that though?
No, you can't. You can't tell a 2-year-old that, but you have to just practice with the smaller trip.
Yes.
Don't want to be cliche, but I do feel like girls are a little bit easier because they don't tend to want to use as much space as boys.
Okay.
Like boys, like if you put a 2-year-old in this room, boys will take the whole room up.
Yeah.
Whereas girls will often be happy to sit and colour and play with their dolls, and just got to be a little
bits at a time.
And it'll be worth it. But also, if that's of value to you, then you'll make it
work.
I was always like, travel is of high value and eating out at restaurants is something else that's
Me
two things kids don't really necessarily blend well in. I never forget the first time with Geordie, I was like, right, this kid has to learn to sit still at a restaurant.
Yeah.
So we picked out the local pizza place and I said to my husband, every Friday night until he figures out how to sit down in a high chair, we're going to go to the same place. It didn't matter if he threw spaghetti. It didn't matter. But I tell you, the first 2 times, oh my goodness, torture. And of course you do do you want to sit in the car?
The threats.
Do you want to sit in the car? And I did take him to the car one of the time.
Yeah.
And I stood there, right?
Yeah.
He's like, no, mummy. And so it just got better. And I think it took about 6 dinners for him to actually learn to sit in his high chair. But then it was easy after that.
It's really good you've done that. So I'm the avoider. If I have a bad experience, I'm like, never again.
I know, but I feel like it was important to me
Yeah.
to eat in restaurants.
And it's very important for me to eat out too. So I feel you on that.
I was like, these are the things that are non-negotiable when I have children. And it's whatever your values are. Like, not everyone likes to do that. And some people will be like, I'd rather poke hot pins in my eyes than take my toddler to a restaurant.
Yeah.
But you start with the local pizza place.
Yes, that's a really
Not
good
my
advice.
idea of great dinner, but it was just to practice and figure it out and
Get them used to it.
get them used to it.
Oh, I love
We've got to we've got to exist in this world together.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Your podcast, She Rises, is where everyone can listen
Definitely.
to
Yep.
this version of you.
Yeah, we upload 3 times a week. Monday and Wednesday, more empowering and lessons and learnings. Then Fridays, Freaky Friday, we have like anonymous submissions sent in.
Oh, you do? I didn't know about Fridays.
It's like sexy,
Oh my
scary advice, ghost stories, whatever it is. It's like a fully unhinged and our alter egos come out and we just have fun.
That's actually excellent.
How many women suppress those parts of themselves because of fear of what other people think or they've been shamed in their past? We just like bring it all forward. It's a big mission of ours.
I love that. I have tested that a few times on Instagram where I'm like, okay, tell me a confession or what you need to know.
Those things.
And then the things that people write, I'm like, holy moly, I'm so glad you got that off your chest.
Yeah, it's juicy, isn't it? It's fun though.
Well, there you go. Everyone needs to tune in, especially on a Friday. All the other days, but on a Friday as well. Thank you so much. This has been so great. Thank you for being open and vulnerable.
Thanks for having me. Love this conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.